Yo everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Steins. When we last left off, we had learned the meaning of waffle along with wafflecopter. Just felt like that was important to go over once again. Hey, what else was that? Yeah. Fret not, Christina, or should I say, at Chandler Chrisu. Don't call me that. I knew it already. Indeed. I known it for a long time. You reek of at Chandler. How rude. My perfume isn't that strong. Wow. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about your soul's power level. But it's cute how you try and hide it, at Chandler Chrisu. Do not call me that. Your soul's power level, huh? My silly remark seem to me to have a much deeper meaning now. Was the girl in front of me one day going to, as Dr. Linskin had said, become a real artificial soul? When that happened, what were we supposed to call a soul that still exists in this world after the body was gone? Not dead or alive, but something in between. This wasn't science anymore. It was philosophy. Or maybe religion? Enough messing around. Okwe didn't come here to waste his time with this stuff. He didn't? The way you're trying to change the subject makes me even more suspicious. I'm going to infect you with a virus. I was kidding. I won't bring it up again. Chrisu quickly bows her head. I bet back when Chrisu was still alive, she had conversations like this with Maho every day. I'm sure Dr. Linskin had a lot of fun watching them. It was actually kind of cute. Sorry about that, Okabe. Want to try talking to her? Oh. Maho offered me the seat in front of the PC. Chris's face was on the monitor right in front of me. When our eyes met, she smiled a little. I didn't know she reacted like that, like this to people when she first met them. But my meeting with Chrisu went about as badly as it possibly could have. I realized that her perky attitude towards me could have been unusual for her. Ask me whatever you want. I'll answer anything I can. See, now would you definitely go towards, like, bring up at channel or something. Yeah. This wasn't good. I was remembering every moment I spent with Chrisu. I couldn't think of what to say. And then the words came out of my mouth were, is it possible to create a time machine? That was what I'd once argued about with Chrisu on another world line. In the end, I'd lost the argument completely. What? A time machine, you said? Where did this come from? It's just a test. I want to see if she was capable of thought experiment. Well, Chrisu? Let's see. My conclusion is that it's not possible. But we don't know for sure that it's impossible, I guess. What? That wasn't what she said. I'll begin with my conclusion. The very idea of a time machine is idiotic. That's what Chrisu had said in the Alpha World line. I remember that well. I think the very idea of time machine is idiotic. I remember our old debate and decided to repeat what Chrisu had said then. It's too early to assume that. You think so? Oh, this is so weird. You think so? It's true that scientists all around the world have proposed time travel theories, but there are 11 major ones and countless minor ones, but none of them are any more than hypotheses, and some of them directly contradict one another. Correct. For example, must we go through all these again? I struggled the first time round. For example, there's the cosmic string theory and wormhole theory, where time travel is possible as a thought experiment, but no one has a clue where you can get, where you would go to get cosmic strings or exotic matter. In other words, it's not realistic. This was also something that Chris had told me in the Alpha World line, but the Chrisu on the screen was unmoved. That's probably because scientists haven't discovered something important yet. Then you think it's possible to create a time machine? We don't know for sure that it's impossible. That's what I said, remember? Yeah, her opinion was slightly different. Was this because I was in the Beta World line, or perhaps... Hey, hiya, Joe. She knows she's made of a copy of the original's memories, right? Of course. Then, I can't think of a good example, but... It's like an identical... Is it like identical twins? You can't tell them apart at birth, but as they grow, differences start to form, or something like that. We're still investigating that, but... If the memories they build up are different, I think that, of course, they'll become something different from the original human. The professor agrees with me. I see. It was then I heard the door on the other side of the partition slam shut. Is that the professor? From the loud sound of the footsteps, I would assume so. I could definitely hear someone stomping around outside. And then after a heavy knock, the door to the booth flung open. Hi. Lin Tahoe? Yeah? Huh? The professor opened his arms wide as he came inside. He grabbed my hand and began to wave it around. I hadn't realized he was this friendly. He seemed to think he was giving me a handshake, but it felt like I was being worked over by a pro wrestler. Hey boy, what's up? I'm fine, thanks. And you? Okay, oh wait, that was meant to be English? Okay, it's very hard to make out, but yeah, that's meant to be English. Your English is terrible. Shut up, Christina. Oh. Oh no, I was focused on the professor and he used my old nickname for her. It's nothing, don't worry about it. I am worried about it. Why am I Christina? I told you, it's nothing. You're freaking out over a lot. You're freaking out a lot over nothing. I said shut up, Christine, Chrisu. Chrisu and Maho both seemed lost in thought. You called her Christina, huh? You two just drop it. I don't want any more questions about this. Since the professor was here, I decided to ask more about how Amadeus's memories worked. Professor, is it possible for Amadeus's memories to be externally modified? But the professor wasn't listening to my questions. He seemed to be fascinated searching his pockets for something. Come to think of it, I don't see that translator device on his ear. He must have been looking for it, which meant odds were good he didn't even hear my question. Modifying my memories? It's theoretically possible. Chrisu herself answered in the professor's place. For example, it would be possible to make me think that my name was Christina. But memory data isn't like normal data, it's much more complex. I'm aware of no successful attempt to modify it. And even if the attempt succeeded, I would notice it and repair myself. I keep logs in an area that only I can access. In other words, a secret diary. If there was a discrepancy between my current memories and my diary, there's a very high possibility I would become suspicious. What's more, my memories are backed up at regular intervals. Even if they were altered by beyond the point where I could self-repair, I would still be able to restore them. I would lose any memory that was formed between then and the last backup, though. I see. Regardless of the topic of discussion, it felt strange. What Maho had said before she loaded Krisu was true. I was starting to feel like I was chatting with the real Krisu. The way she wouldn't let you get a word in edgeways when she started talking about science was exactly like the real Krisu. It's interesting though. I turned towards Krisu and spoke. You're able to consider yourself objectively as a machine. From what I see in books and comics, I expect you to say, I'm not a machine, I am human. That's pure nonsense. Even humans speak of themselves as a combination of hardware and software, right? They call it biology and psychology. What's the difference? Huh. I see. She's better with comebacks than anyone, isn't she? When I heard this, Krisu turned to Maho, her CG eyes big and round, though it was really just the camera sensor moving. You know, Maho, this may not be any of my business, but you should watch what you say. You finally got your chance. What if he stops liking you? What? Come on, don't bring that up again. But it's what I find most interesting right now. It's what I find most meaningless right now. What if this is the last chance you'll ever get? You're the one who needs to learn to watch what they say. This is weird. Dr. Leanskin was clapping his hands together and laughing. I had to chuckle a little too. Afterwards, the three of us, including the professor, talked to Krisu, discussing technical subjects and making small talk. The next thing I knew, it'd almost been an hour. I actually felt a little sad when Maho told me that it was time to stop. In just a single hour, the strangeness I'd felt about Amadeus had disappeared. I felt like I was really talking to Krisu. Dr. Leanskin stopped me before I left. So, interested in being a tester? I tilted my head when I heard the professor speak, though through the translator. Amadeus doesn't have a lot of conversation samples. I've got all the kids in my lab helping as much as they can, but it's not enough. But Amadeus is still in the research stage, and we can't let just anyone talk to it. So I want you, Lintalo, to help us, since you were her friend. Wait a minute. Acquired. What's that? No. So early. I feel like I've heard that before in one of these now that I've looking at it, but I can't remember. And there's a lot of these to go through. And annoyingly, it's not like the first game where they actually had sections for them. But oh well. Lintal. Remember they mentioned something about being a tester at the party. So this is what they were talking about. The professor and I will be staying in Japan for a while. We'd like you to be a tester while we're here. Your job will just be talking to Krisu. There's no real quota, just talk to her when you feel like it. But twice a month, I want you to report on your testing to me and the professor. Oh, and I'm sorry, we can't pay you? I want you to keep that in mind when you decide. I'm aware it's cool to ask you to talk to an AI that's perfectly identical to your dead friend. If you're not interested, feel free to turn us down. I remember what it felt like to talk to Krisu. When the monitor was just about to turn off, this was what Krisu had said. Let's talk again sometime, Okabe Minato. That's what I'd hoped for when I came here, wasn't it? I'll do it. Please let me do it. I thought I'll be ready when I accepted the job, but I never expected this. Oh gosh. Call from Krisu. Hello. It's Masuke. Krisu was displayed on the screen. Yes, it was Amadeus. The app the professor had given me allowed me to access the server at Victor University from anywhere 24 hours a day. Also, it's short for application software, any software that could be used by downloading it on your OS operating system. Of course, you'll be able to contact Krisu, but Krisu will also sometimes contact you. When that happens, talk to her. This I hadn't predicted. I never thought she would call me, or that her face would be displayed on the screen. Or should I introduce myself with, "It's Christina"? Is Okabe gonna be the one that says, "No, it's no Tina"? She looked really mad. I could guess why. I had gotten 8 calls from Krisu and ignored them all. Why would you ignore them? Maho and Dr. Laneson explained things, so I thought I'd call once myself to make a proper introduction, but I didn't expect you to refuse to pick up 8 times. Why aren't you saying anything? Talking to a realistic girl on my smartphone with so many people around was pretty embarrassing. Well, if you don't want to talk, that's fine, but... What's with you? I'm sure this was my chance to talk more than usual. I feel like an idiot. Just know that during the test period, I'm always connected with you. Connect with me whenever you feel like it. I'm busy, so I don't know if I'll always be able to answer your calls. Man, what is this? More than strangely polite, friendly Krisu from yesterday. More than that strangely polite, friendly Krisu from yesterday. Angry, stubborn, more curious than anyone. The way she seemed to be constantly challenging you. Anyway, goodbye. I realized that this really was Masuke Krisu. That was the girl I spent those 3 weeks with, lab member 004, my assistant, Christina, aka Masuke Krisu. Her movements were a little more jerky than I'd seen on the computer in Dr. Linskin's office, but eventually that was, evidently that was because of the smartphone. There we go. This alone was enough to make me feel like my heart was being squeezed dry. I stood still, holding the smartphone tight. Kyoma, I mean, Ocarine, what's wrong, yeah? Oh, I'm coming. I thought to myself as I ran up to catch with the others. Maybe Dr. Linskin was right, and this test would be a very cool thing for me. But even so, in my mind, I was already starting to think about what I would talk about with Krisu. This is so bizarre and extremely unique. in terms of the setup and whatnot. Okay. Maho was remembering. She was remembering the last night she spoke to Krisu in person. Seriously, why do I have to do this now of all times? That night, Krisu was whispering to herself a lot. Victor University's Brain Science Institute. Maho and Krisu worked in the same room at the lab. Thus, Maho was forced to hear Krisu's angry mumblings whether she wanted to or not. Alyssa was fine, but she'd been acting like this all day, and it was keeping Maho from concentrating. She finally snapped and turned away from a paper she was writing. Hey, Krisu. English was the language most commonly used at Victor University. When the other staff and the professor were around, she'd always use English, but when it was her and Krisu, Maho would often speak in Japanese. Would you stop it? What? Stop what? Krisu stopped messing with her luggage and turned around. You're so loud I can't concentrate. I need to turn this paper in by tomorrow. Was I talking to myself? Want me to sue you for violating the local noise ordinance? The local noise ordinance? Sorry. Krisu apologized and started to scratch the back of her head. Mao decided to calm down by standing up and going to the shelf where the research notes were kept. There were a lot of books she needed for her paper, but they were all on the top shelf. It's supposed to be someone's idea of a prank, she said, as she stared up at the heavy book. She decided to try and reach for it, but no matter how she stood on her toes, she came nowhere close. Her tiny arms seemed like her dead branches waving in the wind. She bit her lip. After she skips grades to go to college and then come to work in this lab, she had more chances than ever before to hate her small stature. Whenever she walked outside after dark, the cops would stop her. Even with their ID badge, she couldn't get into bars, and buying medicine and alcohol at drugstores were a pain. The most humiliating part was no matter where she went, everyone thought she was in middle school. No one believed her when she said she was 20. Everything in America was just too big. Shall I get that for you? Krisu noticed the trouble Maho was having and came over. But Maho was stubborn and decided to pretend nothing was wrong. It's fine. We're not having any problems. Sure you are. I'm not. Are you sure? I'm sure. But there's a book on off that shelf, this shelf I want too, so... Krisu easily reached up to the highest shelf and grabbed the book Maho wanted. Must be nice to be tall. No, I'm not really that... Oh. Krisu covered her mouth when she realized she said something she shouldn't have. Thanks. That would be a big help. That was a big help. If you need something in Japan, tell me. I'll send it. I will. Thank you. Krisu handed over the book as she spoke. Then suddenly, her eyes went wide and began to sparkle. Hey, Maho. About what we were just talking about. What were we just talking about? Talking to yourself. Huh? Oh. It looked like Krisu had came up with a new idea. This was a regular occurrence for Krisu, and Maho was used to it. Wouldn't that be proof of a self? For Amadeus? Yes. Yeah, if she started talking to herself, I'll be pretty surprised. No matter how you advanced no matter how advanced an AI was, it wouldn't talk to itself unless you programmed it to do that. And there was no need, or even point, to a feature like that. If an AI started talking to itself, that might be a good indication that it was a self to talk to. But Maho hesitated to agree with her. You should watch what you say here. Don't forget there are a lot of people who think that a soul is something God gives to humanity. That's right, isn't it? Kusu's expression dimmed. Kusu and Maho were both treated as heretics in the lab, especially since they were Japanese and women, and Kusu was simply too talented. No one ever actually did anything, but a lot of the older scientists were definitely avoiding her. Dr. Leanskin was the chief scientist, and the fact that he liked the two of them was all that let them... do their research in peace. If the other scientists heard what Kusu had just said, who knows what they'll do? Maho patted Kusu on the shoulder. Well, go have a good time in Japan and refresh yourself. I'm still not happy about that. Why? I think you'll have fun. If I'm doing an exchange, it should be a graduate school. Why high school? It has to be high school, right? By Japanese standards, you should still be in high school. Just accept that your professor is doing something nice for you. Maho remembered what Dr. Leanskin had said. Kusu has a fragile personality. All the brickings in the lab is putting her under a lot of stress. All the bickering in the lab is putting her under a lot of stress. And she's at her limit. It might ruin her as a researcher. That's what the professor said. He was really worried about her. And you have to go to Japan in July anyway, right? So it's perfect timing. Yeah, I'm actually kind of down about that too. The Akihabara Techno Forum. Was that it? I'm still not used to giving lectures. I don't know what to do. Now that you're published in Science, expect a lot more of this. You need to practice. I'd rather not. Kusu whispered to herself. Mao didn't like being around lots of other people either, so she knew how Kusu felt. But there are a lot of scientists who wanted to be published in a major journal. Then they go on to give public lectures. And she'd been out many of them to win that honour. People were jealous. She needed to fill her responsibilities, even just to shut them up. Maybe I'm not much better though. Mao suddenly laughed a little, and hated herself for doing it. Maybe I'm just as jealous as they are. That feeling, which was a little like fear, was something that she'd always felt. The girl in front of her was just that different from Maho. Someone she could never reach, no matter how hard she tried. Someone who'd surpassed everything she'd done almost instantly. Maho? Kusu was peering into her face, confused. Maho felt flustered. Are you meeting your dad in Japan? Ooh. Not the best choice of words, maybe? Kusu felt that she heard that Kusu's parents weren't divorced, but they were separated. Her mom was still in America, and her dad was in Japan. After Mao said it, she wondered if it was too personal a question, but Kusu smiled a little. Actually, I got an invitation from him. Oh yeah? He's announcing a new theory this summer. I'm thinking of going to see the announcement. A new theory? Kusu's smile changed into a small expression of consideration. I haven't heard the details yet. I know it's something to do with the theory of relativity. Oh gosh. The term theory of relativity refers to two theories published by Einstein. The special theory published in 1905, and the general theory in 1916. These are the sources of the famous equation E equals mc squared. Special relativity makes clear the following. Matter cannot exceed the speed of light. The closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time goes. If you reach the speed of light, time stops. The closer you get to the speed of light, the more your length decays. If you reach the speed of light, your length becomes zero. The closer matter gets to the speed of light, the more its mass increases. If it were to reach the speed of light, its mass would become infinite. General relativity adds the following. Wait, when was... Okay, yeah, the general is later. General relativity adds the following. Time slows down in the presence of a strong gravitational field. Space compresses in the presence of a strong gravitational field. Mass increases in the presence of a strong gravitational field. Okay. Yeah. Mao felt like she was hiding something, but didn't question her anymore. Anyway, take care. I'll be expecting presents. What do you want? Since you're going to Akibara, why not something rare? You know a lot about Akibara, right? Huh? Why do you say that? You're always reading those sites during breaks. What? Did Amadeus tell you that? She wouldn't do that. Sometimes it's not I'm right behind you and you're too busy watching videos that you don't even notice. I can't believe you found out. Damn my carelessness. It's interesting. I wonder if we'll switch between Okurin's perspective and Maho's occasionally. That'd be kind of neat. Krisa actually seemed upset for once. This really surprised Maho. Maho, please don't tell the others. I don't think it was something you need to hide, but the idea of sharing a secret with Krisu made Maho happy. Got it. I won't tell anyone. Thanks so much. Krisu seemed genuinely relieved. Maho continued. Hey, once I get back from Japan, let's find out if Amadeus can talk to herself. Okay. Krisu had a very happy look on her face. It was the face of a born scientist who loved to explore the unknown more than anything in the world. Her smile was as innocent as a child who had been given a new toy. It was very beautiful. It was one of the reasons why Maho liked the younger researcher quite a bit. But the promise the two of them made would never be fulfilled. In fact, they would never meet again. It felt like she'd thinking about Krisu more and more since she came to Japan. Maho didn't know if it was because she was in Japan or because she was talking to Amadeus, Krisu, more often. Or maybe it was because she met a young man named Okabe Minato. He knows things about Krisu I don't, huh? Thinking back, the first day they'd met, she'd broken down. Thinking back, the first day they'd met, she'd broken down and cried right in front of him. Oh, right, okay, sorry. I got really confused. I thought that she was talking about Krisu. And I got really confused. But no, this is Maho. It was something she didn't really want to remember. She chased the memory away out of embarrassment. You were thinking of Okabe, weren't you? She snapped her head towards the PC monitor. Maho was in the middle of a conversation with Krisu. Yeah, that's right. She shrugged her shoulders and tried to ignore Krisu's mischievous smile. Don't you think it's strange that Dr. Leanskin got such a high opinion of him? He handed him over your access rights to the guy he'd only meet twice. Is it really wise to trust him so much? He looked like a nice person. Yeah? I can't tell if he got any ambitions or not. I feel like I don't understand him. Do you like him? Would you cut it out? Maho brought her face close to the monitor and glared, but Krisu seemed concerned. There's no real need to hide it, is there? I can understand why you didn't want to say anything yesterday when he was right in front of you, but now it's just the two of us. Krisu may not have looked like someone who would. Krisu may not look like someone who would, but she really enjoyed this sort of gossip. Maybe girl talk was the right word. Maho sighed and sat back in her chair. The creaking sound echoed through the empty office. I really don't feel that way about him. I still don't even know who he is. I see. Well, that makes sense. Krisu let the matter drop. This bothered Maho a little. But what does interest me? What is it? No, it's nothing. Maho was surprised, had been spending a lot of time thinking about something since yesterday, to the point where she'd even put off her research. What kind of relationship was there between Krisu and Okabe? What was Krisu feeling in the days before she died? She would have liked to ask Okabe if she could. Maho, did my original and Okabe know each other? Maho shivered. It was as if Krisu had been reading her mind. How could you tell? I came to the conclusion after listening to Okabe and hearing your responses. It's all just circumstantial evidence, but do you want me to show my proof anyway? It's fine, knowing you, the conclusion is perfect. The way they use the words like proof in normal conversation showed that both Maho and Krisu were scientists at heart. If he has memories of me that I don't possess, it's likely to cause problems with our conversations. I'll leave it up to you how to deal with it. He may bring it up, possibly. If you want, you could ask him. Maho still didn't know if Okabe would even access Amadeus at all. They weren't forcing him to. Feigning ignorance is the same as lying, isn't it? I should be able to get some good data, I think. Yes, it was interesting. But that was her opinion, as a researcher working on Amadeus. How would Okabe Renato feel about it? Would this be rubbing salt in his wound, on the wounds of his heart? Maho realized she was getting much too sentimental. Maybe it's because I'm in Japan. It'd been a week since she arrived. The first thing she planned to do was offer flowers. But she still couldn't bring herself to visit the Akibara radio building, the place where Krisu had died. An 8-story commercial building in front of Akibara Station. It contains a lot of computers and hobby shops. On the 7th floor there's a place reading the birthplace of the personal computer. Huh. Okay. I guess we're not just following Okabe. Now we're this person. Fair enough, and I'll save that for next episode. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you then. Bye!